Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cockings.
He is Captain Foley.
And today we're here to talk about the D.
Enterprise 1701.
Or at least the concept for a possible bridge. Apparently they put the Enterprise D in a movie or something, and they wanted to change the bridge for this one.
Yeah, it was very orange. And there was a sea, and there was a blowy uppy sun, and some Klingons blew up, and then they blew up the same way from the last movie, and there was reverse time Yeah, it's a movie, Stuart. Yes, we all think of the Enterprise D bridge, I believe, as the one from the 7 years of the TV show. But for that one movie, they made a tweak, a new version. It kind of harkens back to the two Enterprise and Parallel sort of tweaked versions that did their own sort of how do we make an alternate, but also with a movie budget. Then it got blown up, never to be seen again. But it was there, and in glorious HD, and you saw it in the cinema if you were around at the time, etc. But that version actually had concept art. There's two versions we're looking at today that are similar but different. And, I'm excited to look at this because I find concept art really interesting. What could have been, or maybe should have been, who knows, and just see sort of the design logic at the time. So, of course, here's the Enterprise D that we all know, Stuart. Here's the Generations one. Of course, not many pictures taken at the time, so it's not the best picture. But as you can see, the main differences are there's a ramp, or the two steps added to the bottom to make everyone higher. And there's consoles to the side, which actually are quite a lot of extra. Although, obviously, most shots you don't see the side consoles. But, of course, part of the logic, I'm guessing, is because it's anamorphic widescreen, so now it's only have a wide shot. So if you're looking at the back of the bridge, you're more likely to see the sides. So have something on the sides. I get it. So here is the first concept art. John Eaves! The amazing John Eaves, who jumped in to do some stuff. Now, unlike most things he would do, or any designer would do, where you actually take an idea and make it into a concept, now you have to take a standing set with distinct limitations and production time and alter it. So it's a very different thing. So here it is, and what do you think?
I think it's very close to what we actually finally got in the movie. The rear console stations back there are quite interesting. And also the captain's chair is way higher than the other two. So a little bit different in that regard, but it's also very squished. It feels not quite as wide, but I always loved Johnny's art. So
it's shockingly final. You know what I mean? Like you could print that and sell it, and boom, there you go, finished artwork. Apart from the LCARs, which he's repeated the same pattern, which is okay. Although briefly for the audience, there, what's your opinion on the two versions of the side console additional step Generations bridge?
Yeah, I'm actually a fan of the side consoles. It adds more to the bridge for me, and it feels more like a command center. Where I know that Andrew Probert wanted it to be more relaxed and more futuristic for TNG, and not be as busy. So I get why they didn't do it for the series, but I do like the addition of the side panels. Honestly, it just feels more like a bridge, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts. It always has been. I've always liked the side panels on that bridge. So.
I think I'm slightly coloured by the fact that they looked so weird, as in that the movie is not remotely shot like TNG, so none of the sets feel like the Enterprise D. They all feel like the movie Enterprise D. So it would have been nice to have seen how it would have looked sort of properly lit conventionally. So, but some of the side consoles are pretty fine, although the step is a bit awkward because there's no railing, there's no, it's a very hard step. It feels like a tack on, right? You wouldn't design it that way if you had it fresh, because it's literally is a tack on, right?
Seems like a safety concern.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these are adults, right? Wow, a step, but just there's a certain there which isn't necessary. So this version, yeah, of course, he knew we were doing the side things. We'd seen the side. Were there ever consoles? No, I don't think there were ever consoles before. They were always altered paddings, but certainly making them consoles. Although this is more than they did in the movie, because he's just sort of copied the idea of the back consoles and put them on the sides, which would be a lot to do, surely. That's taking out those entire half walls and building all those new plexiglass, and that's a lot of additional screens, which I don't think is quite as full as in the movie. It's more sort of, there's some stuff there, right? But the front forward consoles, I think, make sense. I certainly don't like the two back aft wharf. Like, what are they doing? What could they
They
possibly be
seem
doing?
just like, yeah, they seem like just popped on, like just brought in for extra things just because.
Just yeah, exactly. There's just it's just because. I mean, if the ship could function with the stations they had, which means they don't need more stations. If you're going to add like 6 new stations with no discernible difference in the mission profile or ship, it's all extraneous, right? There's no actual reason for it. So certainly, I think that was a silly choice. Or at least it doesn't look right, and even more of like a hazard because those things look like they push out almost the entire length of the ramp. I mean, it's really. I mean, you could have them to be neat, like a small like transporter console, but like half, like a little. But they're so giant. Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, it doesn't look right, and proportionally from where the drawings, like from the front of the bridge, it just looks. They look really, really odd. I'm sure from a top view they might look a little bit better and kind of allow better access to the ramps, but from where the way they're drawn here, they just look a little bit.
And also, they're definitely like 2 people length because you know what Wharf Station is, and it's long, and Wharf can sit there, and it's the width of the chair. It's 2 of them, so these are giant consoles. They're like piano levels. We'll do this. The steps, I conceptually don't mind the additional step, like the way they kind of indent. Because in the one in the movie, it's just added curves. It's not very elegant. It's like 2. I don't know, but I don't like the fact that Picard is so radically higher to the point of it would feel like he's looking to number 1. Like that's really kind of awkward and feels beyond unnecessary, right?
Plus, it takes something away when the captain gets up and heads towards the view screen. It's like it almost depowers him a little to walk down once and then walk down again. it kind of takes away from that moment of like, excuse me.
Well,
that might say.
I mean, that might be why he's got the extended front bit, so he could just go up to that point. But then, if you ever want to do, side shots of Patrick Stewart, you wouldn't see any of Riker or Troy. You're missing out so much detail. Versus on the same level, it's all you want that depth of people, and you're losing that if you do that.
That's the other thing. It takes away from the dramatic effect of having a shot of seeing Riker standing beside Picard, like we're united in this, whereas Riker would be down there even if he's standing.
I mean, he is a taller man, so they might be close to the same height with that step, but it would look awkward. It doesn't necessarily. It's weird. It's weird. But then this is the more radically different one. The next shot, though, is, I would assume, a second pass. If we scroll between them as an audience, we can see that they've now pushed the helm and, the 2 consoles further. But a lot of it's the same. But there are subtle differences, of course. The steps are more noticeable. So what do you think of this version in comparison?
Well, they got rid of those extra consoles at the back, which is a
and this was his final, by the way.
Yeah, so they got rid of those, which is brilliant. I think the command chairs being on the same level is a good improvement as well. Now, the helm and operations consoles being switched with the main pillar being on the inside as opposed to the outside. I'm not a fan of that. I prefer it the way it actually was for the whole show and for Generations. I believe they're on the outsides of the stations, which is a much better look in my opinion. So it is final, but at the same time it's not, because when we see the actual final one, those stations aren't like that. Those front 2 stations. So
I mean, it's a change for change's sake.
Yes, it is.
What can they do? And in a similar vein, if you then want to get a Brent Spiner shot, he's going to be as a close-up. All of the background's going to be so different to the show, really different, and also side views going to be like. It seems odd just to say it's a movie, so let's change all of the views to look different. You're bringing aboard fans being pissed that it just feels different. I don't get why you would do that. You should just, antithetical to what a movie is. It's a bigger version of the same thing, not let's change all the vibes. But the step is clearly the same. Everyone's on the same level, works better. And this feels far more cohesive, right? You understand the logic. We're gonna update the sides, cool, and we're gonna raise the middle people so that we can get Michael Dorn more in shot, I guess. I mean, that's all I can imagine would be the logic of adding steps. Honestly, just to they're on a. Why else would you do that, right?
My guess would be too is to make sure that the captain can see the side consoles a little bit better because he's raised up.
Mm-hmm.
Small thing, but I mean that's one of the things that was always a driving force with the Star Trek bridges, that the captain's chair can see all the consoles.
Yes, I agree in concept, but I don't think Picard ever stood up and looked behind him at the engineering consoles, and he certainly can't read Data or Wesley's station because they're hidden. So he has no visibility of any consoles. So I doubt
You're absolutely right, actually.
So I doubt they would say, well, in this one version bridge, we have the two sides, because that's what the TNG bridge does not do well. Captain can't see anything. Having done some 3D scenes, I know you cannot read their consoles whatsoever. I mean, you can't really read Sulu and Chekhov's per se because they're hiding so much, but there is enough of you can see a bit of it.
But even in Bridge Crew, when you're on the Enterprise D, you look behind you, you can't see those stations. You got to kind of like look underneath or kind of get up.
And also the chair doesn't swivel. TOS, I see it. Picard's like, right? It's not the same thing. But I like the concept there. But also I can imagine that potentially they were picturing angles, as we know, the normal configuration, not this version. Maybe a shot of Brent past him, a bit higher as Patrick Stewart, a bit higher as Worf. You can get all three in the same close-up, because now they're staggered and you just go up. I can see that possibly being the logic. But the next view, though, is... I'm glad I found this. It's just different.
Huh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Different chairs for the front
Different consoles. Yeah.
You do see the side.
I've never seen this one before. I found this just for this.
I haven't either. It's interesting. It's like from the Battle Bridge turbo lift. Huh.
This feels so different. I don't necessarily imagine if John Gould like dimensions right as in proportions, because the ramp to me looks like really changed the angle. Like there's almost more ramp going into the front. There's a new, because the way it peters off, everything at the front's quite straight or flat, but it feels like there's more hull now around the ramp area, so it all kind of lingers. There's different shapes happening here. Front two consoles are entirely different. Steps are a little bit different. I think Deanna and Will, and I pointed in more straight, which has changed the vibe. The chairs are different as well. At least the captain's chair is, because he's sketched them a little bit different. The turbolift housing is different. Like that's not the same. And also the side consoles are different as well.
Look at all the detail on that floor. All those different carpet swaths they'd need to do.
Yeah, this feels really different because so many small things are not done the same. Now, yes, it would feel more like a refit. I do think this would feel like a distinct refit because and changing the carpet to add these side details lines would be a good thing to change the feel, right? Like a distinct detail add. It'd be busy versus just a floor. Because why are you adding 5 subdivided colours? No reason, right? But I don't know, there's so many shape changes here. I wonder if this was maybe a step when they said, we're going to use the D-Bridge refit for a second movie, and so we can make more custom changes. Because if it's a one-off movie to end the series, it's like you want to keep the same thing. But if you're moving into a refit bridge, you can make it different and stick with that. I wonder if that's a larger slew of changes is what's represented here. What do you think?
Maybe, because originally the Enterprise E was supposed to be just another Galaxy class. So they didn't really know what they were doing moving forward, so that could have been kind of the thought process a little, maybe. It just looks added on and tacked on. I mean, they did a good job with the side consoles, I guess, but it just seems like such odd design choices or changes to make. I don't know.
Fascinating, eh? Here's a nice graphic showing the two compared. I mean, you can see similar but not. The side consoles just feel so much more subtle in the final compared to what the concept art implies.
Yeah, the concept art makes it seem so, like, in your face. No, I think they did a pretty fantastic job with the final version. I love that they didn't change those front stations, though. I really appreciate those being the same.
Well, like I say, the movie is just the same but different. It's let's change things while keep other things the same, so it just feels different. Like those steps they don't bug me, but they just feel so unnecessary. You know, change for change's sake, which don't even change very much, stylistically.
Yeah, and there's no purpose for them. Like I like things to have a reason that they're like that. And this seems like a step out of a page out of the Yesterday's Enterprise book a little bit, where everything was raised in the center, but that was a different universe. That was a different ship. It just doesn't make sense that they'd done that. So.
This version of the console art also implies that the captain's chair is meant to go above Worf Station. So if you look at the headrest, but perspectively it'd be a little bit higher. Now that is different, because then of course he would have this big grand field, the bridge, as in these chairs are really high up, which would mean as you said, the horseshoe would be no ill effect into visibility. You can actually turn and see everything. I can understand that as a concept, saying for 7 years we couldn't see past this damn bit of wood. Let's just push ourselves higher. But
plus, did Worf get a chair for
He did
for Generations?
Yep.
So I know that was a complaint of like Denise Crosby and stuff, that she was just standing there the whole time. But that was for 7 years, and then for one movie they decided to put a chair.
Yep. Well, I mean, imagine that again. And then there's not even one nemesis for most of it, I believe. Yeah, imagine having to stand on every day, on every take, on every set. Your back muscles must have been really worked out. Really learn to have a good structure in your back, because that would suck. Because I have a bad back, so for me that would be really bad. Yeah. But yeah, there you go, guys. Concept art of the Enterprise D Galaxy Generations refit version. Maybe, yes. Interesting.
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts down in the comments section below. What did you think of this concept art and the redesign for Generations? Did you like it, or was it just too much of a change for you guys? Let us know.
Like the radical change one. Is that one you wish would have happened?
Yeah. So let us know, and by all means, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss any content from us, because we do a lot of content.
And if you want to support what we do here on Trekyards for 9 years and more, hopefully, then Patreon is a great way of monthly donations, or Patreon, no, we said that, or join the channel on YouTube, also monthly, but on YouTube, or Super Chat via live super thanks on a video, PayPal, trekyards@hotmail.com, or just watch every new video.
Why not give us a super thanks on this one, too?
You could.
Yeah. Until next time, he's Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.